I'm allowed to be totally involved. I'm actually, I guess, the chief law enforcement officer of the country.
So there's that. And just for historical reference, as we mentioned at the top of the broadcast, that title normally conferred upon the Attorney General. But see above reference, these are not normal times. There was this earlier tonight from a former senior man at DOJ about how these pardons and commutations add to what he sees as the existing case against this president.
Yes, the president's gotten away with so much, but I have news for him. The law is going to come after him. What he's doing is lawless. It's unprecedented. It breaks every rule in our constitutional democracy, and the law will find a way to catch up with him.
A great place to have our next conversation with two of our friends, Jason Johnson, a veteran of campaigns who happens to be the politics editor at The Root and a professor at Morgan State University, and Julia Yaffe, we point out always because it's germane, a Russian-born American journalist, more on that later, and a correspondent for GQ. Welcome to you both. Jason, let's take right up on Neil Katyal's point, and let me ask you rather rhetorically, okay, so who do we see about this?
Well, we can't go to the manager because we can't go to the upper house because they've made it clear the president can kind of do what he wants. I'm rarely in a position of disagreeing with Neil, but I don't know that I think this is going to catch up to the president. I don't know where is the guardrail at this point. Where are the individuals who are going to stand up to him? I don't think I ever could have said this in 2012, but only if we'd only have a Senate full of Mitt Romneys, but we don't. There does not appear to be anyone in this administration who will hold the president accountable for not only pushing around different individuals who are supposed to be defending the law, but also by exacting revenge on who he wants. So, again, he is committed and continues to commit offenses that may be impeachable, but I don't know that we have the structure anymore in the government to hold him accountable.
Again, Julia, I always mention where you're from because it so often informs your writings and your thoughts. So if I tell you our president has decided to overrule our court system in prominent cases of large-scale corruption, what does that tell you, given who you are and where you're from?
Well, it's not just where I'm from, but it's, what I've studied and reported on for so long. And just to piggyback on the previous point, Neil is a good friend and he is brilliant, but I disagree with him here as well because, as we've seen, as my fellow guest pointed out, we can't go to the manager. He has been basically allowed to go like this and to do whatever he wants. And furthermore, what happens if he's, let's say, voted out of office in 2020 or he leaves office in 2024 after a second term? Our norms dictate that we don't pursue those people because we don't want the next president coming in and pursuing his political enemies, right? So one of the few norms we have left, would we want to destroy that because this president has destroyed so many other norms? The other thing I want to say is that, getting back to your question is, look, we've wondered for a long time what it could be that Vladimir Putin has on Donald Trump because he just seems to like the guy so damn much. Well, this is why Donald Trump likes the guy so damn much, because he wants to rule the country like Vladimir Putin rules Russia, like Kim Jong-un rules North Korea, like Recep Tayyip Erdogan rules Turkey, Duterte rules the Philippines, etc. He feels that this is how a president or the head of state is. He's the chief. Right. He's not just the commander-in-chief, but the chief law enforcement officer, even if he isn't, that he can just do whatever he wants. That we're seeing this kind of, before we saw a norm-breaking, rule-breaking Trump going into the impeachment, now we see a kind of imperial Trump coming out on the other side of it.
So, Jason, when Rod Blagojevich gets out of prison and says he is a Trumpocrat, is that along the same lines of what Julia's saying?
Oh, well, yeah, Brian, because the goal is Donald Trump wants to use all of these sort of pardons and these commuting of sentences in order to create a commercial. It's theater. I'm the benevolent king. I can put my thumb up or down like a powerful emperor. Look at all these people who I can rescue. And when he does that, and people come out like Rod Blagojevich and they say, oh, hey, I owe him this, or I'm going to give school to that person, it allows him to sort of demonstrate that he's got an imperial presidency. Look, I have this conversation with journalists all the time. Kwame Kilpatrick from Detroit, it is highly likely that the president would consider releasing somebody like him right before the election in an attempt to sort of distract or suppress or engage African-American voters. The president uses the legal system and his power as the president of the United States in order to create these performances to weaken judicial norms and to engage in campaign advertising. It is disturbing. It's distressing. There don't appear to be any guardrails, and it's up to all of us to point out what it is he's doing so that the public isn't convinced that this is how the government is supposed to operate.
Just to give Go ahead, Julia.
No, recall the Super Bowl ad. I mean, the poor woman he released earlier through a presidential pardon, thanks to Kim Kardashian West's lobbying, which is a crazy sentence to say. He made it into a Super Bowl ad that was very clearly targeted at black voters to say, like, you know, who's got your back? Who's helping you guys? So, yeah.
Just to give our viewers something to think about over a break, both of our guests have agreed to stay with us. Coming up, what to expect from tomorrow night. The new